With elections now behind us, the city of Cape Town is calling on political parties to remove the election posters from the lampposts. The city says if parties don't do this, they will face some billing. So let's chat about this now with Dimitri, Georgeades, Environment and Heritage Manager for the city of Cape Town. Dimitri, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I mean, have political parties been removing these posters so far, or are they still mostly on the lampposts?
Good evening, Bongi, and also to Mfondu. Yes, we've had very good cooperation from political parties this year. Here and there were some misunderstandings, but for the most part, the campaigning was, I think, very successful and good in Cape Town.
And would you say that now you're left with a majority of the posters, or just give us a sense, maybe in terms of percentages, just how many have been removed?
Quite a few parties have started removing their posters. The weather has been really inclement in Cape Town. It's quite cold this week and it's been raining all week, so I think some of the parties found it difficult to mobilize their resources. We've given parties quite a bit of notice, and the deadline is the 10th of June. So from Monday, we'll be out there checking and making sure that that there's compliance.
So in terms of the deadlines, because I remember, for example, in 2021, we saw in the city of Johannesburg that the deadline would have been 14 days. And sometimes people get confused, in terms of members of the public, by how much time these parties need to remove their posters. So is it 10, is it 14 days? How much time do you give them?
Well, that depends on each metro. The city of Cape Town has an outdoor advertising bylaw. And during election time, we provide the parties with quite a number of concessions to campaign. So we actually relieve or exempt parties from a lot of the requirements of the bylaw and regulation so that there's space for campaigning. Mm-hmm. We set the deadline of the 10th of June, and we believe it's reasonable to achieve compliance in that time. We've been doing this for quite some time, and we've seen from the previous years that where parties don't meet the deadline, it's usually because they don't intend to, and we then go and remove those election posters. So I think some of the smaller parties struggle with resources sometimes, which is why we have a contractor and staff out there in the regions to ensure that the posters don't end up littering the landscape.
And I'm going to get to just what happens then if they don't take them down and how much of a penalty possibly they're facing. But I just want to check. So is it enough to just remove the poster, or do you also need to remove the string? For example, if your poster was, you've used a plastic to attach it to the lamppost, do you need to remove that as well?
That would be very kind and helpful. Yes, thank you. In fact, it's not really a requirement only for election posters. For all of our event posters that are displayed in the city, we have the same requirement. They do become unsightly. It's quite easy to see when hundreds of them are left behind the pole. So our contractor makes an effort to take them down as well. But it would be very much appreciated if the parties can cooperate and remove them.
So in terms of billing or a fine, what do they face if they don't do this, if they don't remove the posters?
Well, we don't fine them, but where we find widespread compliance or non-compliance, we charge a removal fee. And that is simply because of the principle that we don't believe the taxpayer should be paying to clean up the election posters, weeks and weeks and weeks after the elections.
And how much is that removal fee?
So we charge 134 Rand per poster. And that is basically charged to the municipal business partner account of that relevant party. But let me first say that we try to give the parties notice. Their own contractors sometimes miss posters where they put up. Cape Town's a pretty big place, so the process usually is one of consultation and collaboration, and then if there is still no compliance, we'll get our contractor to go and remove it, and then unfortunately we'll have to charge them because we don't believe that taxpayers should pick up that tab.
Yeah, and as you say, that deadline is fast approaching. So let's see then when you check if everyone did remove their posters and you can then go back to normal, or if you need to find some. But of course, as you say, to bill some of those per removal, it's 134 Rand per poster. But thank you so much, Dimitri, for that update. Let's see then what happens if there is widespread compliance there. That is Dimitri, Georgeades, Environment and Heritage Manager for the city of Cape Town.